The time is exactly 9:52 a.m. and we are now joined by Layton Beard from the Automobile Association to talk about the big fuel price hike, which comes into effect, I think, midnight tonight. Layton, good morning. Welcome to the program. Layton, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, good to be with you. Hi, can you hear me? Good to be with you.
Yes, loud and clear. As if we're not had enough on our plates, we now have to contend this price hike, which is ridiculous. It takes the petrol price to over 20 Rand a litre. And I'm also hearing that in December, there's a possibility of another hike. Please tell me I'm wrong.
Well, this hike that we're seeing now is the December hike. This is the 81 cents that's going to get added to the fuel price when the price kicks over at midnight tonight. So the 81 cents, yes. So this is for December. And of course, it comes off the back of a 1 Rand 21 increase in November, which means that we've had an increase of 2 Rand over the last 2 months. It's absolutely incredible. And in our view, these increases are catastrophic, not only for motorists, but for consumers. What the picture is going to look like going into January, I think we need to obviously wait and see what the numbers tell us, the Rand-US dollar exchange rate for December, as well as those international oil prices. But I think for December, we're in a lot of strife with the petrol price being over 20 Rand a litre.
All right, we know there's a lot of factors built into how the petrol price is determined at the pumps. The RAF Road Accident Fund, there's that levy that's built into it as well, and a whole host more. Can you tell us what are the other factors that determines our oil price? Also the low Rand. And then that being said, how come this doesn't make sense to me? We're paying over 20 Rand a litre for petrol here, but we are supplying Botswana. We are supplying them their fuel, but they only pay 8 Rand per litre. Is their government subsidizing them? What is the story here?
So South Africa sources its oil on the international market, and that's obviously set by the international community. So when you look at the oil prices, we've got to pay those oil prices. Obviously, the value of the Rand that we are buying those is determined by the Rand-US dollar exchange rate. So if the Rand is weak, it's very bad news for local fuel users. That's just in terms of the actual purchasing price. The components that make up the fuel price are varied. We're looking at storage costs, we're looking at wharfage costs, we're looking at distribution, we're looking at transportation costs. So there's a number of costs that go into it. But the two big taxes that are added onto every litre of fuel are the general fuel levy, which currently stands at 3 Rand 93 a litre, and the Road Accident Fund levy, which stands at 2 Rand 18 a litre. So combined, they comprise 6 Rand and 11 cents of every litre of fuel. To your point of why neighbouring countries are paying less for fuel, they don't add those taxes to every litre of fuel. So they effectively are paying at least 6 Rand a litre less than what we are paying, even though we supply them with that fuel. There are other smaller taxes which they also don't pay, and that's why their fuel is cheaper than what it is in South Africa. We have for a long time as the AA said that we need to review the fuel price. We need to have a look at the calculations that are used to determine the local fuel price, and we need to recalculate and establish whether all of those components are necessary. It's a call we've been making for a long time, and it's something that we will continue doing. You mentioned the Road Accident Fund. For us, that's something that needs to be privatized. It's an institution that is not well run at the moment, and we believe that privatizing it or semi-privatizing it will make a difference. We also think that in our country, we have a huge reliance on the RAF because of our poor road safety record. Now, we need to improve that to reduce the reliance on the RAF. There's a number of different factors involved here, and we think that it's time now, it's long overdue, in fact, that we start looking at this fuel price and seeing ways in which we can mitigate against these rising costs.
Okay, and I do know that petrol pump attendants, though it's crucial for them to keep them in jobs. In South Africa, we can't afford to do away with that as they do in other overseas countries where you can pump your own fuel and save on a cost there as well. But it's not an option here for us in South Africa. We hear about the United States and other countries who have huge oil reserves. If they release those reserves on the market, would that make a difference to us here in South Africa?
No, not particularly. America, Canada, North America, Europe, many countries are in a similar position as South Africa with record high fuel prices. It's not unique to South Africa. But again, the AA believes that if we look at the fuel price and the components that comprise the fuel price, we may find, those rands and cents that we can take off and reduce that fuel price. It's not going to be an easy task, but we think that at least it shows some commitment to gauging against those rises. Releasing vast amounts of oil in America is not necessarily going to have an impact locally, especially if the Rand-US dollar exchange rate is still extremely weak, as it is at the moment.
OPEC is not producing oil at the moment. Is that because at one stage, a couple of years ago, we had a glut of oil, and obviously that drove down the prices? Do you think that's the reason why they're not producing more oil?
Well, look, it's all about supply and demand, and they're going to hedge their bets in terms of where they're going to get the best bang for buck. Less oil obviously drives the price up, but at the moment we are seeing that oil is retreating. Oil is not our big issue at the moment. The rand against the US dollar, that is the main reason why we saw this 81 cents a litre increase going into December. And that is a result of the economic factors that are local. So in our view, we need to be looking more internally at those factors that can influence the currency against the greenback, rather than trying to deal with those international issues of oil prices.
What do you believe those issues are? The internal issues that would strengthen our rand?
Well, we need an environment of investor confidence. Yes, we need an environment of investor confidence. We need to ensure that we deal more effectively with unemployment. We need to deal more effectively with bureaucratic red tape. These are some of the issues that we think need to be addressed. We need to improve our economy. It needs to be a sustained growth over a period of time. And unfortunately, unless that happens, we're not going to see a situation where the rand strengthens against the US dollar.
And this automatically raises all other commodity prices, does it not? Your food basket is going to be affected. Taxi prices are going to go up. And even at some point when the fuel price does come down, those prices seem to remain where they are. They don't then naturally come down. I guess no Christmas presents for the kiddies, Layton, because,
you're absolutely right.
Africans are truly...
You're absolutely right. I mean, when fuel prices go up, everything gets affected. That's why, increasing fuel prices are not just a problem for motorists, they're a problem for all consumers. They go up because obviously that's an input cost, and, manufacturers and transporters and the road freights and all of those need to absorb those costs. When they come down over a month period, you won't see a decrease in those prices, because it's not a sustained decrease. You need a decrease, over a period of months to affect a decrease in that input cost. What we saw in 2021 is the price rose 9 times and only decreased 3 times. And I think that's the reason why you will see sustained increase in prices as well.
Okay, so that's where we leave it. Thank you indeed for your input, and you go well. It is exactly 10:01. Thank you for being with me on the show today. A big thank you to our producers, Nazreen and Milazi Boy. And you know the drill regarding COVID. We are now sitting with a new variant. So now more than ever, mask up, social distance, and sanitize. Till tomorrow morning at the same time as always. Thank you for your company. Assalamu alaikum and Khuda Hafiz from me, Julie Ali.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining